This show is supported by you. Stick around till the ad break to hear more about that. This is Cup of Go for April 17th, 2026. Keep up to date with the important happenings in the Go community in about 20 minutes per week. I'm Shai Nechman.
I'm Jonathan Hall. Shai, why are you here? I thought you were gone.
Yeah, I was supposed to be gone, and then some people decided that the price of gas is too low, so now I'm still here. Thank you very much for our replacement co-host that came and covered for me in the 2 weeks that I was supposed to be on vacation during spring break. I actually did not take a vacation, but y'all were so excited to come on the show and talk with Jonathan that we decided to just keep it online. But yeah, I'm hoping to do my vacation next month. Hopefully things will calm down in that region.
All right, yeah.
How did you enjoy doing the episodes without me?
It was a breath of fresh air, man. No, I missed you.
I'll go talk to my dentist. I understand. if it carries my me not brushing my teeth carries all the way through podcast wave, wow. We're in a problem. All right. I enjoyed listening to the episodes while I was gone, but we have quite a lot of proposals to get through.
Yes.
I would like to kick things off with a conference because this is always like timely news. Mm-hmm. And GopherCon.sg. And before I tell you what that is, I wanted to ask, do you ever play GeoGuessr or GeoGuessr, I guess?
No. I think I know what it is, but no.
It's like that game where the computer drops you in the middle of Google Maps.
Oh, okay.
And then you have to guess like where you are on the world map.
Yeah, no, I've never played.
You can like walk around. So if you are going to play it, which I highly recommend, a great cheat is knowing all the domain names because you'll like see vans or signs, billboards across the highways or whatever with websites. And if you can't figure out which country you're in, if you know the domain, you can at least clock the country.
Got it.
All that to say that GopherCon.sg is actually Singapore, 20 to the 22nd of May, 2026. There's going to be GopherCon Singapore with honestly one of the most beautiful. It's probably like relevant to the country. I don't know, but it's like a huge fish gopher thing with lots of gophers on it. Love the design. Absolutely love it. Among the speakers, Bill Kennedy, Dave Cheney, Florin from Ardan Labs, Rona Steinberg, Ron Evans, Ethan Lee from the Go team, Alex Rios, and others. So, a pretty beefy lineup.
Yeah,
very, very
I
cool.
see Arseny from JetBrains is going to be there. He was at Go West also. I got to meet him.
It's also cool to see all the names and like recognize, oh, this person was in Cup of Go. This person was a Cup of Go. This person, I want to bring him on a Cup of Go.
Yeah.
And generally, there are paid tickets. This is like a conference. But I don't know that currency, Singapore dollar. I have no...
how does that translate? Yeah.
I have no idea what the translation rate is. But no matter how much it is, it's probably worth it, to be honest. And I do like it that normally... Like, I don't know if this ever happened to you, but if you work at a company, they'll be like, oh, we'll pay your ticket, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like as education budget. But sometimes you're a freelancer or even you're like looking for work, and these events are like the way for you to do some networking. Mm-hmm. So the GopherCon Singapore is offering a discount code, paying my own way, which just is available. It's like, if you're paying for yourself, use the discount code paying my own way for 10% off, which is nice. And the cheap conference ticket is available until May 4th. So Star Wars Day is like your cutoff. Have you ever been to Singapore?
No, I've barely even been to Asia at all.
Even though you're pretty well traveled compared.
We had plans to go to Asia, and then we had babies instead. So
yeah, maybe later. Put it in the backlog like the rest of our news.
That's right. I'll put that here at the bottom of card number 79.
All right, so GopherCon Singapore. And we did have someone, I can't pull it up. Can you pull up who we had on the channel that's going to be there?
Andy
Williams, friend of the show, is going to be there.
Yeah.
Although honestly, you don't have to fly all the way to Singapore to find them. Just go into any random Go meetup, he'll probably be there. All right, let's talk some proposals.
Yeah, we got a bunch of them today. That's going to basically be the rest of the show, I think. First up, this is kind of quick. We already talked about it. The proposal for UUID package has been accepted. Finally, it was likely accept something like 15 years ago, and then there was some controversy, and it finally made it to accept. And then almost immediately, they opened up an amended proposal to change the name of UUID.nil, the method or the function that would return the nil UUID. The reason for this is that nil has an overloaded meaning in the context of Go, because of course there's a nil in Go, right? And that's not what it returns. It doesn't return nil. It returns what in Go terminology would be the zero value for a UUID, but it's called nil in all the other popular implementations of UUIDs in Go, and it's called nil in the UUID RFCs themselves. So that's why there's this conflict. So there was a question about, should we call it UUID.0 instead, or just get rid of it entirely? That proposal is still open. We'll put a link to that in the show notes too, but it's currently in likely decline, meaning that they're not going to change it, and they'll probably stick with UUID.nil as the function name. But if you have some reason to want to opine on that, or more than opine, like you should actually have some valuable data to bring to the discussion, you're welcome to comment on that probably for the next week.
Yeah, this is a very, very, there's a ton of discussion here. Way more than I expected for basically take the Google package and bring it into the standard library, which is sort of what happened. They made it slightly nicer.
It's a little bit smaller. They don't support as many versions that the Google package does. And they, instead of using exported package variables for nil, they use a function, and they export a max function as well. I don't think the Google package does that. But otherwise, it's virtually the same shape as the Google package.
Yeah, you, by the way, are mentioned in the design of this package, specifically on modification. So you want to explain what is inadvertent modification of the variable that you've found?
So I was in favor of using a function rather than an exported package variable, for the simple reason that an exported package variable can technically be modified at runtime.
So just to clarify, there's a package UUID in the standard library, and it has a variable called nil. And I, in my code, can choose to do UUID.nil equals not a new UUID, and now it's not a nil UUID anymore.
Right. And that same sort of foot gun, if you will, already exists in several places in the standard library.
The classic is HTTP client. That's why I always tell people, or HTTP server or whatever. I'm never use the default one.
Yeah, that's true, although that's subtly different, and I'll talk about that. A really good example where it's actually a sentinel value would be io.eof. So you
can edit io.eof?
You absolutely can. It's an exported package variable. It's not a constant. It's not a function. It's a variable. So that's probably the most ubiquitous example of the exact same thing, of a sentinel value that you can change. So you could set io.eof equals file not found, or whatever silly error message you want. You could do that. Mm-hmm. So, and I've for a long time thought this was kind of silly, and we shouldn't do that. But of course, we can't change io.eof or these other cases because they're of the compatibility guarantee. The difference with what you just talked about with client and HTTP server and the default loggers in both the log and the slog packages and things like this are that these are actually meant to be changed. These are things that you're intended to set up your global logger or your global HTTP client. So they're intentionally modifiable. I still think it's a bad pattern, but it's a different bad pattern. It's not a fake constant. So I distinguish those two in my mind. Okay. So anyway, I was making the point on this proposal that we should use the function version, because if we return a nil value, then you can modify it all day long, and it won't change the value when you call that function again, right? It always returns a new copy of the nil value. So that was my argument.
And what, it will always return a new zero value is what you're saying?
Exactly.
Okay.
So if I accidentally or intentionally modify my return zero value,
that's on you.
It won't affect other callers of that function.
Got it. And despite your overwhelming evidence and clearly eloquence of the problems, it's variables anyway.
No, it's not variables. They decided to go with the function.
You convinced them, because originally it was variables.
Originally it was variables. They switched to functions. They switched back to variables. And I was like, I don't think this is a good idea. And Neil was like, we need some evidence. So I did some digging. I spent a couple hours with I think it was Claude, and we dug up some bug reports. And I really found only one where somebody was scanning from SQL into UUID.nil, and that would, of course, overwrite UUID.nil. I think it's a pretty weak argument, honestly. Like, I don't know why somebody would actually do that except to prove a point. But it was enough to prove a point.
To prove a point that it worked. So I really can't argue with the results.
So anyway, they did make the decision to make that change. So I'm happy about that.
Cool. And this is not beside the point, but I am very interested in your opinion.
Okay.
Today in code bases, I wouldn't say that there's one right way to define a UUID type. So you have a struct, and you have a UUID inside it. You could have chosen a string and just be like, oh, I use the string representation. That's probably bad. You could have chosen a buffer, and that's okay, but then you write your own. Or you could have chosen a specific UUID library. And I would have, all of them are not great. I would probably, were I to do, code review, I would say, oh, probably use the third-party UUID type, specifically the Google UUID library, which is definitely the most popular, right? Yeah. Are you going to start in code reviews saying strictly this variable is the UUID, please use the UUID type from the standard library in the same way that you would do for IP addresses?
It will depend on context, but in general, probably so.
I'm like so in favor of doing that because so much code that I have to deal with is, well, this is a string, but actually it's a UUID, or this is a string, but actually it's this is a number, but actually it's a port. And I mean,
one of my clients has a large, it's not that large, but a code base that heavily uses strings everywhere for UUIDs, and I've been converting. And the main reason is additional type safety at the API layer. So it's a REST API. When you try to unmarshal into a UUID, you can't unmarshal random non-UUID strings, right? So you get some type safety there. And then the same at the database layer. So in this particular case, the application uses Postgres with the UUID column type, but there's nothing in the application to prevent me from trying to pass, the word chicken as a UUID, which of course the database won't accept, but everything else in the application does. So there's a mismatch there between the types. So I do think it's better for consistency to use the same type throughout.
So it's basically a new best practice where we're going to have to adopt, because there was reasoning to say, well, it's a third-party library. If I haven't imported it so far, maybe I won't.
Yeah, I suppose. But unless it's just like one or two uses, that's a pretty weak argument, in my opinion. Yeah. If you've adopted UUIDs as your application approach, you should use a library, whether it's standard or third-party. You need a library to handle it.
Cool. So accepted, and is it already implemented? When are we going to see it?
I expect we'll see it in 127. I don't know if it's actually implemented. It's still open, so it hasn't been closed yet. But I think that's largely depending on the results
how fast
of this.
They can copy the implementation from the
existing
library.
There's that, and also a sub-proposal about whether or not to rename nil to 0. So once that's resolved, which should happen next week, I expect, then it'll probably be implemented quite quickly.
All right. Next proposal is also accepted, and I think we also discussed this one.
We might have.
So maybe we can cut it.
We're going to talk
just do the beginning, and we'll cut the last part.
So the proposal has been accepted and actually implemented. It looks like this one's already in tip. So it's to add cut last for strings and bytes. So it works just like cut, except that it cuts the last thing rather than, I guess, the first one, right?
It's like trim suffix, I would call it. They've decided to call it cut last, but
except it doesn't discard the suffix, it gives it back to you.
Oh, that's true.
Where trim suffix just chops it off and you get whatever is there. So it's one of these like little trivial string functions that every language has, 50 of these, and they're all subtly different. You never remember which one you need until you go look it up, but it's nice to have them because otherwise you end up re-implementing them yourself.
Yeah, and there is a lot of people who are saying, oh, this is actually, I found 15 cases of this in my code. I know it's not a very strong argument to putting it in the library, but I do think it's a good one in this case. And by the way, just for the naming where I say, oh, it should have been trim. Well, there is a comment here which I really, really liked from Axel Wagner. which is like, okay, here are the names of families of functions we have. We have contains any, contains func, contains runes. So you have like the contains family. You have the has family, which has prefix and has suffix. You have the cut, which is like maybe remove a thing. I don't know if it actually did remove it or not. You have cut prefix, and cut suffix. So he's like trying to show all the different families, and there's somewhat there inconsistencies, which I really like. But they are going to keep it as cut last, which makes sense.
Let's take a break from proposals. I'm tired of this. Let's talk about something else.
Yeah. If you remember, and I won't forgive you if you forgot because it's been a while, we hosted George Adams from Microsoft.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I guess, hey folks, my name's George Adams. I'm a software engineering manager at Microsoft, where I lead the team behind the Microsoft Builder Go. Our kind of primary purpose is that we maintain a downstream distribution of Go that powers major services like AKS, Azure Kubernetes Service, GitHub, many other first-party customers.
So ever since then, I've been subscribed to the blog we talked about in that episode, which was the new and back at the time exciting Microsoft for Go developers.
Mm-hmm.
Since then, the only thing it's like, it's one person called Davis with the same copy paste blog post with zero engagement on it, which is Microsoft builds are now available for a new version of Go, which might be, I don't know, it might be automatic, like, or something.
I hope it is, because if it's not, I feel sorry for Davis having to write these same things.
Having to type it out. There are Microsoft releases for new Go versions. So if you're working on a Windows machine, that's maybe relevant to you. Also, mostly, I think it's relevant for the Go developers inside Microsoft. Why am I highlighting this? I am speaking to you from a Microsoft Windows 11 machine.
What?
Yes, it's been a while.
But is it running Go 126.2-1?
It is. I specifically set it up before the show. I clicked on the available to download and went to the download and install guide for Microsoft build of Go. And whatever, like the OIV, whatever, the binary archive, installed it with the go-install PowerShell script. I did the whole thing. Yes, so, it was very underwhelming.
Yeah, why is you running Windows 11 news? I mean, I saw. Let me just share my ignorance here. I don't know what the current version of Windows is. I feel like Windows 11 has been talked about for a long time, so it must not be the most recent.
The important part is I am on a Windows machine for the first time in like a couple of years.
Oh.
And this is actually the first time ever recording this episode with you from my Windows machine. So my Windows machine is almost strictly just for gaming. But now, and then when I moved to America, I packed up the important bits, like the GPU and the important, expensive stuff. Mm-hmm. But I kept the tower in Israel.
Okay.
And now I finally got a tower and I say it's actually my wife, assembled it back together and got it working. But now I'm also excited to use it for AI because it's a really good GPU. So I can run really good local models in my home. So I'm starting to set it up as a development machine again.
So are we supposed to be able to feel sorry for you that you're using Windows? Is this week's Patreon subscription going to you to help you upgrade to a better operating system?
No, I actually missed it.
Oh.
So the Go news angle of it is that the Go new release is available for the Microsoft build of Go is available. But it was just a way for me to share that I am talking to you from a Windows machine. And you know what? It has colorful spinning fans, so it's fancy and gamery.
Got it. All right, Shai. Well, I'm sorry to hear you're using Windows, but I'm glad you're enjoying it. At least the Stockholm syndrome is real.
Yeah.
One last accepted proposal for this week. H2C has been deprecated. Do you know what H2C is?
H2C. I honestly do not.
Yeah, a few people probably do. It's something I actually use occasionally for testing. It is HTTP 2 without encryption.
Oh, wow.
So HTTP 2 by default is it includes TLS, right? So it's not like TLS is this add-on. It's built into HTTP 2. If you want to disable that, you have to do it differently, and that's what H2C is for. There's a new way to do it. So it's not that you can't do it anymore, but there's a new way to do it the old way. The H2C package is being deprecated. I didn't even know there was a new way to do it. So when I saw that this happened, I went to my code that uses H2C and updated it. So I'm already using the new version now. So this won't affect a lot of people, but if you use HTTP2 and you use H2C, most likely in tests, then you'll need to worry about this and make that change at some point. It's being deprecated, not deleted. It'll still work. Just don't use it for new stuff. So
generally, should I disable encryption in test for HTTP because it's faster, or what? Why did you do it?
It probably depends on what you're testing, but it's easier. I mean, you can go to the effort of setting up test certificates and making sure that your client and server accept them from each other and stuff like that. It can be done. And I usually do that, but I also disable it. So I'll have a test that verifies that works, and then I usually disable it for the other test just to be simpler. The other time I disable it is if I'm using something like gRPC over WebSockets, which I do in one app I'm building. So I still use TLS, but at a different layer of the protocol. So it's not like it's unencrypted traffic over the internet. But so that there are reasons that you need to disable TLS for HTTP2. But they're corner cases. So if you deal with one of those corner cases,
it's not the general rule for you that in tests you disable encryption,
right?
Yeah. Especially if it does actually go out to a third party.
Sure.
Yeah. Now that I know about this feature, I'm like, oh my God, I wonder how many servers misconfigured it and I can actually turn off the encryption. But probably it's fine.
It's probably.
All right.
I think that's it for the news. I think we have just a few little things to wrap up before the show is done.
Yeah, glad to be back. This was cool. Doing the show was cool. I'm learning about Go. As I mentioned at the top of the show, this show is sponsored by you. This is a hobby. We do it for fun, but it does have its associated costs. Other than the mental cost of Jonathan making fun of me for using a Windows machine, we pay for editing fees and hosting fees, etc. If you want to support the show, you can do it directly via Patreon and support us financially, which is a lot of the best way to show support for us. You can find the link to Patreon, past episodes, our Slack channel, our email, our swag store, all at cupago.dev. That is cupago.dev. Other than that, the best way to support us, again, other than directly financially, is to share the show. We don't pay for advertising and we don't plan to. So word of mouth is the only way this show gets to other people. Tell your coworker or your friend or your co-students about the show. And leave a review on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your podcast. You have something exciting to update about.
I do. I have decided, after many years of thinking about it, to finally launch a course about how to do idiomatic testing in Go. So if you're interested in attending, I have special early bird pricing available till April 28th. So that's just about 2 weeks from now. The course will start May 5. Go to boldlygo.tech/testing-course. You can see all the details about it. There's a few videos you can watch of me talking about the same topics. If you'd like to learn how to write idiomatic tests in Go, learn why I don't like Testify and when I use it anyway, how to avoid mocking hell, and all sorts of things related to testing in Go, if that's interesting to you.
Cool. So I assume it's 20% about mocking and Testify and 80% about using unencrypted H2C, HTTP2 connections.
Pretty much, yeah.
Who is this course in partnership with?
It's just me. I decided to do it. I've talked about this at some various meetups and conferences. I've done, of course, videos about it. It's always a popular topic, and I always get people asking great questions. And so I've decided to turn it into a course.
Very, very, very cool. Boldlygo.tech.
Boldlygo.tech/testing-course.
And in boldlygo.tech, I can also find a way to engage you, right?
You can find my daily email list. I send out almost every day. I aim for 5 days a week. Sometimes it's 4 or 3. Little tips on how to improve your Go. I'm going through the slog package right now and sort of breaking it down.
It's a great resource, and maybe even hire you. Although I don't know if you're looking for.
You could definitely hire me. Definitely available for that.
Very, very cool resource.
Cool. Well, Shai, I don't think I'm going to see you next week. but
we'll see.
We have we'll do something. We'll have a show. It just may not include me.
We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
But it's fun to be back. And I might be gone again soon. Depends on JD Vance, I guess.
Oh, yes.
All right.
It's never a good phrase to say.
Program Exodus.